What's happening out there, rotoscouts baseball fans? Happy Saturday, gang. Apologies for the brief late start there. Had to get a couple things set up. Going to the Yankees game after we're done on the show, so we're going to breeze on through 10 games to cover. Going to try and knock it out in like an hour. That leaves like 50-ish minutes for people to build lineups for me to get out of here, jump on the D train. I wasn't going to play the slate, but now I'm gonna since all the lineups are in and I can just kind of toss lineups in right after the show's over. So I'm going to run some lineups while while we're talking through the slate. So I'll be clicking back and forth between windows. But what's going on, everybody? We've got Fanatic in the chat. We've got Lone Wolf, Stephen B's out there, Hunter's out there. Welcome, 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 everybody. Terry's a goat. I don't know about that, buddy, but I like to think I'm okay at this from time to time. Took a little sixth place on FanDuel last night. Decent little day, like double up overall for the day, so not so bad. Decent number of lineups in like the top 1-2% of the field there, so it was a good productive night. Thought we had a pretty decent show yesterday in terms of what we talked about. A lot of the things we talked about came through. A couple didn't, but that's the nature of the beast. But I think overall we were more on than off yesterday. We got the home run out of Trout, home run out of Ohtani at the Coors Field. If you went in that direction, we got the Pods. We had the Mariners went off big time. We were that was when we weren't really on much as a play. I think we touched on it and maybe said, hey, it's one that you can play. Schmitty didn't look great, but I don't think we were too on the Mariners yesterday on the show, and they went off yesterday. But let's dive into this one. I don't want to waste too much time on a short day. We've got a slate coming up, obviously. We've got 10 games to talk about, so we're going to try and make some good time here. We've got all the lineups are in, so we're talking confirmed lineups. And we've got kind of the same situation coming off the top of the deck here with the Mariners with their there's Joker. With the Mariners with their pitcher drawing a good projection against the Orioles here. I like Bryce Miller quite a bit. He kind of fits into the same mold as a Logan Gilbert, as some of the ways that the Mariners are just developing this pitching staff. They're very focused on control and command guys. And Miller's one of them. 4% walk rate over his first 9 starts, 51 and a third innings, 22.7% strikeout rate, 3.68 ERA, a 4.02 xFIP. He got tattooed in 2 starts in the same week by the Yankees and then the Rangers, I want to say. It's in the article. Outside of those 2 starts, he's been very, very good. Those were both short starts, like 3 2/3 and 2 1/3. Gave up like 7 runs in one and 8 in another, or maybe it was 9 and 8 runs. Gave up a ton of runs in those 2 outings. Outside of that, he was really good. He found 2 big strikeout games in 2 early starts against the Athletics. So there's a little bit of a skew in like what he's done against bad teams versus what he's done against good teams in his strikeout rate. But overall, his strikeout rate is probably about right. You can see it in the swinging strike in the CSW, 9.6% swinging, 24.4% CSW. Those aren't elite numbers. I expect them to climb over time. I expect him to find more strikeouts in the show. He's got a plus fastball, a very, very good sweeper. So he's got 2 really good pitches. Has it a .88 whip. So he's really good keeping guys off base, limiting opportunity against. A little bit of hard hit so far, but it hasn't burned him for home runs. So I like the opportunity for Bryce Miller to post a good start. I'm hoping that he's not overly popular. 9,100, 9,500. I wouldn't expect that he is. Probably single-digit popularity on both sites. So again, I think it's another good spot. Could the Orioles get to him? Absolutely. They do get Cedric Mullins back at the top of this lineup, so we need to point that out. That's definitely an upgrade for their lineup and a little bit of a downgrade for Miller, but he still projects well after I made that change. So I'm not really worried about it. It's just another good hitter who's returning to the top of the lineup here. Stretches him out a little bit. Gunnar drops down from the top spot to the 6th spot. So if I'm going Orioles, which I think you can do and probably should do if you get carried away with Miller shares, definitely grab some hedge stacks of Orioles. And I think we're looking at Mullins, Rutschman, Santander, who homered last night for his 12th of the year, 216 ISO. Gotta love Santander. He's never really expensive, 4,400, 3,300. Steady power all the way, both sides of the plate. 12 home runs this season. Has had double-digit home runs basically every year I can remember, into the 20s and beyond. So really like Santander, just season-long asset when going to Orioles. He's just reliable. He's always in the lineup. He's just always hitting toward the top end, regardless of what else is there with him. So I like that. You get 3 switch hitters off the top of the deck here for this team, 4 in the lineup overall. So they're just a dynamic team that you don't really worry about like any pinch hit risk or anything like that with. Guy like Ryan O'Hearn maybe late in the game gets yanked if they bring in a lefty and he gets into that situation. But overall for O'Hearn, 101 plate appearances, 330, 366, 596, 6 home runs at 266 ISO, 14.3% barrels, 55.7% hard hits. I like to think that like O'Hearn, Rooker, Jake Berger, Maybe Bowers and McKinney from the Yankees. Like, all these guys got together and went on a trip somewhere and just got the same set of steroids or whatever the hell. I don't want to even say steroids. Like, they got the same legal blood spinning treatment or whatever the hell. They got the same milkshake at the same diner that all of a sudden turned them into great baseball players. They made the same wish on the same fountain somewhere that turned them into great baseball players for stretches this season. But O'Hearn's on that list. He's not this guy, but he's been dramatically overperforming his potential, but a sturdy left-handed hitter over time. He's not been bad over time. He's a playable guy, and he only costs like he should. Like, he's priced like Ryan O'Hearn. So you can go to him here. 3,000, 2,600. First base and outfield eligibility on DK is good flexibility. So you get O'Hearn, you get Austin Hayes, who's having a dynamite season. I believe Hayes is more the hitter that he's shown this season than O'Hearn is. Maybe Hayes doesn't hit for 323 average the rest of the way, but he's been a good hitter over time. Decent power stick, nice little hitter for 3,700, 3,200 in the outfield for them. That's also in the lineup every day. Bottom end of the lineup, Hicks, Urias, Frazier. Obviously, flawed player in Hicks, but when he's in the lineup for these prices, you can definitely go to him. He's been super productive since joining this team. I think he rescued a puppy from drowning this morning before getting to the ballpark. Ramon Urias, Adam Frazier, playable parts from late in the lineup. Frazier's got a little bit of pop, a little bit of speed. Urias, same thing. Urias is probably the more productive of the two over time, but they both don't cost very much, and they both fit into the infield fairly flexibly. On the Mariners side, we just saw them go off like crazy. They're going up against Dean Kramer. I think Kramer's got a touch of upside here. He's just not priced right. He should be, like, in this spot, like, low sevens on DK would probably be a lot more playable. You'll like chasing the strikeouts against the Mariners, but they just showed last night what they can do to a pitcher on the wrong night. With all the power in this lineup and their ability to string hits together from time to time, steal some bases from time to time. I do think there's upside for the Mariners, probably beyond what we're getting for Kramer at price. If he was at a better price, there would be some potential. He's a 1-in-5 strikeouts guy, 4.38 xFIP, 4.56 on the ERA. Gives up too much premium contact, too much power, and that's what I start to sweat at these prices. You don't really get away with, well, he gave up 4 runs, but we got a decent amount of innings and some strikeouts. At 8,700 on that DK slate, you don't really get away with that as easily. So I don't love the spot for Kramer. You can go to it, but it's just mispriced for me. I'm much more inclined to go to Mariners bats here. J.P. Crawford off the top of the deck, 3,100, 2,900, 349 on base, 106 WRC plus. He's come down a lot in the on base since they moved him to that leadoff spot. But I think he's a capable guy. He correlates well with Julio, with Ty France, with Teoscar Hernandez, Jared Kelenic in the middle of the lineup there. There's tons and tons of power up and down that lineup. You can see 12 home runs, 14 home runs, 11 home runs. Ty France at 7, he had 20 last year and is a very good hit tool type of a guy. Good correlated score, 125 WRC plus on the season. He's always cheap. He's always the guy that people tend to skip in this lineup. He fills first base, which isn't great. Like, it would be nice if you could get outfield eligibility on him as well here. But he's a good player for price, and you do have to replace probably a better second baseman in your other stack with him. But it's an effective enough play when he's going right and he's creating runs and everything. So he's a good piece for correlated scoring. Hernandez, Kelenic, Suarez, that's where you're getting your home runs. It's also where you're getting your strikeouts for a guy like Dean Kramer. But I believe in their power upside here. I'll get into some shares of those guys. Some Cal Raleigh, some Mike Ford from the bottom of the lineup for sure. Raleigh, good switch hitting catcher with tons and tons of power. 10 home runs and 245 plate appearances this year. Mike Ford, 4 home runs and 43 plate appearances. Maybe he was at that party as well, but he's only slashing 150, 186, 450, and 43 plate appearances. Mike Ford, quad A player, striking out in 37.2% of those. Could be a zero, could be a long ball. Colton Wong, dead minimum on FanDuel, is playable. 1 home run, 0 stolen bases this season, was double digits for home runs and stolen bases each of the last 2 years, if not further back in time there. So capable guy, just underperforming dramatically this year, but very, very cheap at the bottom of the lineup. Let's move on from this one. Joker, go lie down, pal. Jake Spoils in the chat. What's up, Jake? How are you? Happy Saturday, pal. Good to see you. Welcome back to the show. Let's keep on rolling here. We got to make some good time, like I said. So, going to be going to this game. Probably going to be a little bit late, as I usually am, but that's fine. We've got John Gray. We've got Luis Severino. Interesting pitching matchup. I don't really believe in Luis Severino right now. He's kind of getting short starts. 30 innings in 6 starts. Not a lot of depth. Not a lot on the strikeout rate at only 20%. Walking too many at 9.3%. Allowing a ton of premium contact right now. 12.4% barrels. 44.3% hard hits. 5.7% home runs. Yeesh. against the Texas Rangers, one of baseball's hardest hitting, best home run hitting, best run creation teams right now. Yeah, I don't like the spot here for Louis. He's priced right. 7,200 is the correct price for this pitcher struggling like this. And you can see he projects okay. Like that 25-point projection for 7,200 is perfectly fine on FanDuel. It's, whatever it equates to on the DK slate. There's enough value there. And if you catch him on the right day, he doesn't run into a home run, he finds a handful of strikeouts, you're off and running with that price. So while I don't believe in the pitcher, I think it's a good value play. I think there's upside there. My real fear is Boone's quick hook combined with his inability to pitch deep into games right now. Boone's going to hook him in the fifth if he puts runners on in the fifth. That's what you run into. That's where you get some danger on the FanDuel slate. You hope that he's got 6-7 strikeouts and 4 clean innings before that. You might have a short start on your hands. So that's the danger with Sevy, but I do think he's in play. At that price, he's got to be in play given his past history. Last season, before he got hurt in 102 innings, 27.7% strikeouts. The ERA was good. The hard hits have always been there. The home runs have always been there when he makes mistakes. This is only a 6-inning sample, so really we're looking at this. But he's been a high strikeout righty at spots in his career. He's just rarely healthy, and then he's always working his way back into form and then re-injures himself. So we never get the full version of Severino anymore. I think he can take some shots here, but it's the Rangers. It's a dangerous spot. I'm much more inclined to take shots against the Yankees with John Gray. 9,700, 10,000, a little bit high priced, but I think that keeps basically the entire field away from him. I wouldn't expect Gray to go beyond like 5% ownership anywhere at those prices. Maybe a little bit higher on DK, but he's not going into double digits. I wouldn't think on DK at those prices. You just saw Dane Dunning put up a decent start against this team. I think there's plenty of upside with the Jake Bauers, Torres, Harrison Bader lineup. Anthony Rizzo, Giancarlo Stanton dropped to 5th. Billy McKinney, IKF in the lineup is a dead spot in the lineup. Higgy, for all his premium contact, strikes out 30% of the time. Volpe strikes out 30% of the time. There's upside for John Gray. John Gray's a good pitcher. What happened to my volume? It's okay? Fanatic asked what happened to the volume. Was I just not speaking into the mic? It looks, on my end, it looks okay, but let me know if something's up, if I sound weird in the chat or something. Appreciate the heads up on anything like that, guys. Solo producing, I have no idea what's going through to the other end, so you guys always got to let me know. So I'll keep rolling. Let me know if you can't hear me or whatever in the chat. That's actually probably really insensitive to do that these days. Apologies to anybody who's hard of hearing. Anyway, let's keep going. John Gray, as I was saying, good effective pitcher over time, 76 innings, 13 starts, 21.7% strikeout rate this year, a 4.37 xFIP, 2.96 ERA, 12.9% swinging strike rate, only allowing 34.1% hard hits. John Gray's a very good pitcher. Pitched in Coors for a long time. We were waiting for him to get out of Coors, and has been basically what we thought he would be since coming out of Coors Field. So strikeouts are down a little bit this year, but I think there's plenty of upside for John Gray against this version of the Yankees. I'll take some shots with my Yankees here. Going to the game, I'll have at least one lineup in there so I can watch them fail. It's a weird lineup. Harrison Bader, 3,100 is the most expensive Yankees bat on FanDuel. Basically, everybody in the lineup is priced at 28, 27, up and down. Torres at 3,000, the second most expensive bat. A little bit differentiated prices on the DK slate. Glaber's at 5,700 over there for reasons. 12 home runs at second base is very good, but that's a high price for him, where FanDuel's is maybe a little low. Stanton's still at 56 over there, and then you get Bauers 29, Bader 43, Rizzo 44. I would be looking to live basically in this part of the lineup, the top 6 here. Bauers is a flawed hitter in the leadoff role, but he's got pop, so you're looking for the home run play from Bauers. I don't get this version of the lineup, really. I would just put Bader or Torres in that leadoff spot right now, or maybe stick DJ LeMahieu in there, not that he's playing today. It's just a weird decision to have a 30% strikeout guy who doesn't get on base in the leadoff spot. I get that we're looking for an extra plate appearance for a home run hitter, but maybe that's not a good way to go about building a lineup, Aaron Boone. So, I don't know. 1 through 6 is fine. McKinney's overachieving. Bauers is overachieving. Torres, Bader, Rizzo, and Stanton. Rizzo and Stanton, obviously premium power bats. Torres and Bader, at least professional major league hitters. They both got pop. They've got a little bit of speed. They've got some run creation abilities. IKF is a defender. Doesn't really belong in many DFS lineups. From time to time has delivered, but he's not much at the plate. Steals a base now and then. 4 home runs, 8 stolen bases. 79 WRC plus is more telling of who he actually is. He's mid-priced though on DK in the outfield. You can use him. 2,200 at shortstop, outfield on FanDuel. You can use him. Higgy, the contact profile is what you're playing for. You're playing for the oddball home run. He's got 3 on the year, 14.1% barrels, 56.4% on the hard hits. And then Volpe is another guy, just contact, premium contact when he makes it. 10 home runs, 15 stolen bases. You're hunting for counting stats with Volpe, not much else. On the Rangers side, we're talking about the 2 middle infielders off the top for super high prices, but they're very, very worth it. Semien and Seager, they're easy to click on at the top of the lineup. And I tell you what, the rest of this lineup, for as much as they've produced, as good as they've been this year, they're really not that expensive. So it kind of just offsets the price that Semien and Seager in the 6s, but then you get Nathaniel Lowe at 41. Garcia, admittedly, a little bit expensive at 56, but then Young, Heim, Garver, all 40 in the 4s. Ezekiel Duran and Leody Taveras in the 3s. That's ridiculous. This is easy to put this lineup together in terms of price. So I think you can go to the Rangers again and again here against Sevy. I think there's upside for the pitcher, like I said, but there's more upside for these hitters. Decent power marks up and down the lineup. I love the idea of going to Ezekiel Duran and Leody Taveras from the bottom of the lineup with all their productivity and wrapping them around to Semien and Seager and the top of the lineup with Lowe, who I never skip. 4,100, 3,000 is too cheap for that hitter. He's a good bat. He's a good correlated scorer in the middle of that lineup. He helps offset the pricing of the other guys. It's great. He's another guy kind of like France, where it's like, all right, I'm taking out a premium first baseman who hits like a Pete Alonso type, and I'm replacing him with Nathaniel Lowe. But Lowe creates runs like crazy, correlates with all these other guys. He's a high-functioning piece of this stack, which is why I don't like skipping him and why I think it's advantageous to include him. Garcia, Josh Young, obviously tons of power. Heim and Garver both in the lineup, tons of power behind the plate. Great pricing on all those guys. So I like the Rangers stack. This is the ideal version of the Rangers lineup. Joker's enthusiastic about it. Buddy, please go lie down. Mean face. Go lie down. All right, let's move on. Mets lineup. Pete Alonso leads the day with a 14.34 in the home run model here against Chris Sanchez. Whatever happens with the Mets, I think Pete Alonso's got a nice shot at a long ball against this guy. Buddy, I'm telling you, go lie down, please. So Alonso for 52.38. That's a bargain price for this hitter on the DK slate. 41.6% hard hit, 16.3% barrels, 23 home runs, a 309 ISO. It's Pete Alonso. Don't really need to sell him to you. Nimmo, Marte, Lindor, the typical form off the top. They're all fairly cheap. Lindor struggled in the triple slash. 218, 305, 436 is not typical Lindor production. But the contact profile's there. The home runs are there. The ISO's there. That's all we really care about here. It'd be nice if he was hitting like 260 and getting on base a little bit more and creating more runs, but at least he's hitting for power. So I'm getting him at a discount at shortstop. I can take shares of Francisco Lindor with this kind of production. Tommy Pham we touched on yesterday, and we'll revisit it real quick. The contact profile has been outrageous for Pham this year. He's hitting the ball like Tommy Pham again. He's been a good player over time for like double-digit steals, double-digit home runs. A veteran guy at this point in his career, we were kind of writing him off, but 171 plate appearances, 7 homers, 8 stolen bases, creating runs 22% better than average, 221 ISO. Solid little season for Tommy Pham in like a part-time role here. Probably going to see a little bit more playing time because of it as the Mets are trying to like normalize this lineup a little. They traded Eduardo Escobar, and the way I put it in the article today was that'll probably mean more regular plate appearances for Brett Beatty. So, of course, we've got Danny Mendick bringing up the bottom of the lineup today. Stupid baseball team. Luis Guillorme also in the lineup. Guillorme is a defense only guy. 84 plate appearances, 1 home run, fine. 86 WRC plus on the season, fine. He is not a major piece of the puzzle offensively. Neither is Danny Mendick, kind of a slap hitting speed guy, multi-position on DK for 3,900. I think that's too high priced for him in the 9 role. He should be like the minimum, somewhere around there. For Danny Mendick here, not on the FanDuel slate, but like Kanha up. You can definitely play 1 through 7 in this Mets lineup against Chris Sanchez. Not a lot here to like about the pitcher. 29.4% strikeout rate over 2 starts, 8 1/3 innings, 3.24 ERA. Yet to give up a home run, 9.5% barrels. I think he just profiles more as a target here. If you wanted to go to a few shares of him at 6,700, I don't think, am I remembering from my article today that he's not going to get innings? I write about all this shit and then it falls out of my head sometimes as I'm going through like the next game. Like at this point, I wrote about this hours and hours ago. Yeah, so that's it. He didn't work deep in either start, right? It's 8 innings and 2 starts, or 8 and a third and 2 starts. So 4 and a third, and then 4, striking out 5 in each of the contests. I feel like it's probably going to be managed innings to where you get maybe 5. So if you wanted to do it on DK for 6,700, but that price is probably still incorrect for what he's probably going to give you in that sample. So I don't love the opportunity for Chris Sanchez. Max Scherzer, 8,900, 9,200. I like that opportunity. 27.9. He doesn't project at the top of the board. It's a tough opponent in the Phillies. So I'm giving him a little bit of leeway in terms of, he's not the outright top starter or anything in terms of my projections, which accounts a little bit for what he's gone through this year. But 4 out of the last 5 starts have been really, really good for Scherzer. Including that last one that we booked at a good price, low ownership. He went 8 in that game, struck out 8 Astros, allowed a solo home run, 4 total hits, but that was a good start. He had the bad game against the Yanks when him and Cole both blew up at the beginning of that game. But overall, it was three good starts before that where he pitched deep into games. So I think we're basically back with Scherzer. Maybe not to elite levels, but I think we're back to at least stable form. I think we're back to a good strikeout rate. I think we're back to reliable depth here. And if we're not, the price is at least right. 8,900, 9,200 is too cheap for Max Scherzer if he's Max Scherzer. Overall, 64 and 2/3, 25.7% strikeouts, only 5.7% walks, 4.06 xFIP, 4.04 ERA. He's not been bad. He's run into a couple walls. 4.15% home run rate, that's part of it. 9.5% barrels. Ran into a couple games where he allowed a couple home runs, premium contact. Sample's still not that big. It's Max Scherzer. I fully believe. I'm willing to pay the price. I'll have some probably other pitchers in greater shares just because of the matchup, because of how he projects here. And I will grab some Phillies bats. New York Rangers. I don't think you can see it anymore. Old Cup. New York Rangers bringing the show to you today. Jimmy Dolan sponsors quite a bit of these shows. Not that he knows it. Let's start Phillies. Kyle Schwarber off the top, Trey Turner, Nick Castellanos, Bryce Harper, JT Realmuto. It's basically the everyday form of this lineup. So I think you can go to shares of the Phillies in small doses. It's not one I would get carried away with. I don't like attacking a great pitcher like Max Scherzer, even if he's been off form in spots, even if they are a hard-hitting team with a ton of power. I'll have some shares, but I'll be limited. I don't want to get overexposed to Phillies here. 20 home runs on the season for Schwarbs. A 10.95 in the home run model is a good mark. Puts him over the line. So some one-offs of Schwarbs may be okay, but there's a lot of strikeouts there. If Max Scherzer is going to start up this game, put it this way, Max Scherzer is probably going to start off this game either giving up a home run or striking out Schwarbs, and probably nothing in between. But 5,500, 3,800, it's the right price for that power hitter. Trey Turner, a little bit expensive for his struggles on DK, still at 58, but I'm willing to pay that price if I'm rostering Phillies, especially when you get Nick Castellanos immediately after him, offsetting it at only 4,200. Castellanos has been their best player this year, 124 WRC plus, 310, 354, 481. This is all just standard production from Nick Castellanos outside of last year. So I don't really get why he's so cheap, but that just offsets the Turner thing. So you can roster those two guys together to average the price down. FanDuel, they're 32, 33. Bryce Harper's 35 with first base eligibility. This is an easy team to roster on the FanDuel slate, which is another reason I want to kind of watch out for it against Max, because I don't want my process to get carried away, since a lot of these guys are at good prices. There's also a lineup that I like going to the bottom of. Bryson Stott, Alec Bohm, Brandon Marsh, Cody Clemens. That's a really capable bottom 4 hitters. They're always cheap. They're always low owned. There's a lot of hard hits there. Decent barrel rates, not aggressively good, like mid single digits barrel rates for the guys who were looking for power from. Stott, not a power hitter, but 7 home runs on the season, 12 stolen bases. Good correlated scoring option when he's higher in the lineup. Good option to just drive the ball, correlate with the bottom of the lineup here, steal a base for you when hitting 6th. Bohm, productive enough hitter, 41.4% hard hits. Brandon Marsh, 51.5% hard hits from the left side of the plate, 5 home runs, 4 stolen bases, 15% better than average creating runs. And then Cody Clemens, kind of a masher at the bottom of the lineup, 4 home runs, 134 plate appearances. The contact profile is not really all that strong, 6.7% barrels, 39.3% hard hits, good amount of strikeouts at 26.9%. But you're only paying $2,300 for him, $2,100 for him at first base. So not that much to worry about there if he doesn't come through. So, minor interest in the Mets 1 through 7. No real interest in Chris Sanchez. I don't think he gets the depth. Definitely interested in Max Scherzer. Some interest in the Phillies. Small doses in kind of a hedge, contrarian kind of approach with the Phils. Diamondbacks and the Giants. This one went off, 8-5, I think was the final last night. Good game last night. This one, so this is an opener situation where we're getting that Ryan, whatever his name is, kid, again. And then we're getting, I think, Keaton Winn, who is a rookie making his fourth appearance. He's got 9 innings pitched, let's put it that way. 9 innings, 17.6% strikeout rate, giving up an 8.3% barrels, 41.7% hard hits, 92.9 miles an hour of exit velo. Going up against this Diamondbacks team, I don't really like that spot. And I'm not 100% sure that we're getting him because it might also be a guy named Tristan Beck, who has been a fairly effective long reliever for them this year. Beck is a decent strikeout rate guy, but I don't really want to gamble on either one of them, just given the unpredictable nature of what this team's been doing with this follower role lately. So not really happy about this one. Let's see what's going on in the chat real quick. Okay, so Fnatic said the mic was good. I appreciate you guys pointing that out. I forgot to check back out on that one. Den says the Phillies' run total is big. Yeah, it is kind of surprisingly high for Max Scherzer. So Vegas doesn't seem to really believe in Max Scherzer. By the way, the weather in the Philly, New York area, for anybody wondering, at least in the New York area, I'm going to the Yankees game, so I'll be leaving, like I said, after the show. It's muggy. It's an ugly, gray, humid kind of a day. Feels like a thunderstorm's probably coming later on, probably as soon as the game's about to start up. But I feel like it'll be one of those passing ones, which is kind of like jibes with what the weather people are saying. So I think that's what we're getting here across the board for the New York Philly area. So I'm not too concerned about the weather in these spots. So going back to this Giants situation, I'm not rostering the opener or the bulk relievers for the Giants. I know he's only 4,000. If you want to take your shots, I do think it's more likely that we get Keaton Winn, but see if you can find out a confirmation from the team before you do. Just an uncomfortable situation there. You don't need to do it on FanDuel by any means. You definitely can book some shares of Merrill Kelly though. Good projection on Kelly for me. Having a good season. Not quite Zach Gallen, but he's been helping Zach Gallen win ball games for this club all year long. 27.1% on the strikeouts, giving you good depth, 90 innings and 15 starts, 3.61 xFIP, a 1.07 whip despite a 9.9% walk rate. So that's a really good whip with that kind of a walk rate. Really good production for a guy with that kind of a walk rate. He's getting away with a little bit of premium contact, 9% barrels, 40.3% hard hits, but he's keeping the launch angle down, only 8.3 degree average launch angle. So it's limited home runs to 2.54%. I think there's significant upside for him. I think you can go to some shares of like the Giants lefties here. Grab some Jock Peterson, some Conforto, some Lamont Wade, work them in around J.D. Davis and Thairo Estrada. Small doses as a contrarian hedge kind of a position against Kelly ownership. But I kind of want to grab some Kelly here, and I don't expect he's going to be popular. I would expect single-digit ownership on him too. So he kind of lands inside of my group of pitchers that I want to roster here, and I expect it's going to be fairly low ownership. So I'm going to go to some Kelly shares. I'm going to not take any shares out of the Giants pitchers here. And then I'll grab some Giants bats, and I'm fairly interested in the Diamondbacks bats again, I think. Just low strikeout rates, all that production out of this team, fairly cheap prices. Carroll is correctly priced now at $6,200, $4,200. He's become a star, like kind of in the immediate sense. 301, 381, 579 on the season, a 156 WRC plus, 16 homers, up to 23 stolen bases. Just grab shares of Corbin Carroll. He'll probably be lower owned now because of the price. You can go to him. You can go to Perdomo, Marte, Christian Walker, Lourdes Gurriel, Pavin Smith back in the lineup at 3,000, 2,800. Another nice little productive stick. He's got 7 home runs on the year. The hit tool hasn't been in place. Only 201 in the batting average. 325 on base, though, is productive enough. 89 WRC plus. That'll come up if he starts getting on base more. And he's a guy who came up with a highly regarded hit tool and a little bit of power. So you're getting the power. You're not getting the hit tool so far out of Smith. But I think the price is right for a guy hitting 6 in this lineup. Emmanuel Rivera has been very productive over 144 plate appearances. Still very cheap at third base. Carson Kelly, fine to fill in at catcher. He's the dead minimum on FanDuel, so a share or two if you're getting carried away with Diamondbacks is fine. Jake McCarthy, tons of power, or tons of speed, a little bit of power. Hasn't been the most productive hitter at the plate, but kind of coming course correcting overall for the season, up to 231, 301, 340, 15 stolen bases now that they brought him back up from the minors. Still only cost $2,926. So good interest in Merrill Kelly, some interest in the D-backs. Hedge stacks of the Giants if I'm getting carried away with Kelly. Athletics and the Blue Jays. Shintaro Fujinami is going to open this game for Hogan Harris now. Right-handed pitcher, kind of a clunker, hasn't done much on the mound this season, was getting tattooed early in the season as a starter. Now he's in the bullpen. I'm not worried about Fujinami. I'm not worried about Hogan Harris. I think they're both targetable with Blue Jays bats here. Went to Blue Jays bats yesterday. Some success. I think we get another shot at another bite at the apple with them today. They'll probably be popular. They're expensive on DK. They're affordable on FanDuel. You get Brandon Belt in the heart of the lineup again. 2,400 now, 2,500. Outfield eligibility still maintained on the DK slate, which is good. Belt was popular yesterday. Might be a little less popular today. We'll see what happens. But I think it's a great opportunity. It's a great spot. I don't care about the lefty with this lefty coming in, and Belt will now get a shot at a righty. Fujinami's righty, right? Pretty sure he's a righty. Either way, I don't care about handednness with Brandon Belt here. And then you get the top of the lineup that's excellent with Springer, Bichette, Vladdy Guerrero, Matt Chapman, and all of his premium contact. 10 home runs, back up to a 200 ISO on the season, and has never slipped in terms of the contact profile. 18.7% barrels, 59.1% maintained hard hit rate over the course of the season. 4,600, 2,900. Chapman's back around the other side. He's just, he's a value again at third base and might be coming on and starting another big hot streak here. So like to get involved in the Matt Chapman business. Whit Merrifield's hitting sixth. I had him second in the projected lineup, but I like him in either spot. Just think he's a little bit frisky and productive up in the second spot when he's hitting up there. So I like to see that. But I'll take him in sixth. Varsho, Danny Jensen, Santiago Espinal. Varsho's the one you want from that group of hitters, but Danny Jansen could definitely take one out of the yard. 9 home runs and 162 on the season. So definite opportunities up and down that lineup. You can include Espinal, especially at the dead minimum, second base and third base eligibility. I don't know how many third base shares I want to waste on him, but second base eligibility at 2,000 on the DK slate, 22 on FanDuel. You can plug in some shares of Santiago Espinal at low cost, low ownership here. Athletics on the other side. There's a little bit of upside. Look how cheap all those guys are. Look at the multi-position on all those guys. So there's a little bit of upside. We saw some of the lefties connect yesterday. So I think you can go to some of the lefties again today. 4 of them to start the lineup, plus Jace Peterson, plus Tyler Wade. Everybody at super low prices. Tyler Wade still multi-position on both sides, second and third, or third and short on DK. Outfield second and short on FanDuel for the dead minimum. It's an interesting toolsy guy to find at that price, that flexibility. Never did much at the major league level, but he's got enough talent. He's like a minor league, AAA quad A type player overall. But he's got enough talent that if he gets on, he could steal a base, he could score a couple of runs. If you're going to A's, you want to go to some shares of Tyler Wade as a differentiator, a guy who can help you build lineups with all that flexibility. Same story with Aledmys Diaz, with more experience, more of a major league track record, more of a major league player, but also like on the other side of his career. Only single position eligibility for Diaz in the 5 spot on the DK slate. Kemp, Noda, Bleday, Seth Brown, those are your quality lefties up at the top. Most specifically, Noda and Seth Brown with a little bit of power out of JJ Bleday. So those are the bats I like going to here. You can attack Barrios. 21.5% strikeout rate, 10.7% swinging, 30.1% CSW. Those are all pretty good numbers in terms of the strike throwing, the strikeout ability. The strikeouts are down a little bit from where he was when he was really good 2 years ago, but they're back up from last year, 19.8% last year. This is where you want him to get back to, is 26.1% from 2 years ago, 3.52 ERA, 3.59 on the xFIP. The run allowed numbers are right about there. The contact has been manageable this season. He's not really a target for power anymore. 32.2% hard hits this year, 2.45% home runs, 87.4 miles an hour average exit velo, and he only costs $99.92 against the A's. There's a lot of upside there in this pitcher. I'm not sure where he's going to be owned. That was the mystery I was wrestling with, is like, where's his ownership going to fall at these prices? Because those are effective prices for this pitcher against this A's lineup. This is a bad lineup. We've been attacking them all year. I don't really see the need to not do it with Jose Barrios here. So I might grab a few shares of A's stacks against him. But if he's not that popular, I'm going to probably grab some shares of Jose Barrios here. I actually have to remember. Actually, no, it looks like he is going to be pretty popular. Per a non-stochastic source, he's looking pretty popular on this slate, at least on FanDuel. So I imagine that would make him pretty popular on DK, which makes sense. It's going up against the A's, right? So it's a targetable spot. So, all right, if he's super popular, then I'll probably swing back the other way and probably undercut that ownership. It looks like if it's pushing like 20% on FanDuel, I'll probably come in more around 10 somewhere on there. Like 15 shares of this sounds about right. 18 shares, somewhere on there. Only minor interest, though, in the A's. It's not going to lead me to a ton of A stacks just because I'm not getting to a ton of Jose Barrios. I do think it's a terrific spot. Strikeout upside for clean innings. The price is right. But with all that popularity on a slate with a bunch of similar pitchers, I don't need to go there if he's going to be that popular. At least not go there with the field. So strong interest in the Blue Jays. Some Jose Barrios, but I'll undercut the field's popularity. Minor shares of Athletics. No interest in the Athletics pitchers. 252. Gotta hit the gas pedal. Also gotta remember to actually build some of these lineups. Let me take a half a second here. Set up the old optimizer. Just gotta plug in what my stack values need to be here. That's fine. Actually, you know what? I'll have time. Let's jam through the rest of these lineups. I'll have time to do that after the show. You guys don't need to sit here and watch me do that. It'd just be a waste of time if I did that. So let's dive in. Let's talk about a good pitching matchup. Freddie Peralta, Tanner Bybee. Bybee, another one of those premium prospects. Falls into the same bucket as like Bryce Miller that we talked about off the top of the show. He was the first of the 3 top 100 prospects that the Guardians added to this rotation. So a good pitcher, has proven himself over time so far in 53 and a third, 10 starts, 22.4% strikeouts, 4.05 ERA, a 4.53 xFIP. Pitching well. Not dominating at the major league level, 9.2% swing, 26.8% CSW, but pitching really well for a rookie. Just came in looking comfortable, looking good, going up against a Brewers lineup that has a bunch of strikeouts in it. 25.4% strikeout rate for that Brewers lineup. If I can get Bybee at fair prices and not all that much popularity, which I would imagine is the case, I'll take shares of that. I think I can go to some Brewers at the same time. Grab some Christian Yelich, some William Contreras, some Rowdy Tellez, Jesse Winker maybe, some of the lefties. Willie Adames, certainly after that monster game last night. 12 home runs, reminded everybody, hit 2 last night, 12 home runs total on the season. Reminded everybody who he is after a brief stint on the IL. Still very, very cheap from site to site. 4,100, 2,700 is just too cheap for Willie Adames there. I really like Luis Urias at the bottom of the lineup. Second base, third base on DK. Third base, shortstop, second base on FanDuel for 2,400. Guy hit 23 home runs 2 years ago. Good power bat down there. Joey Weimer, good counting stats, 10 home runs, 10 stolen bases. So you can roster the Brewers like basically top to bottom as like a mid-range option for fantasy points here against Bybee. But I like Bybee. It's a both-sided situation for me for sure. Both kind of like in the middle. Bybee will be in the middle of my pitching distributions. Brewers will probably be about the middle of my stack distributions. Freddie is the mystery here. I really like Freddie Peralta. I think he's a good pitcher. I took a look. It's featured in the article. If you're reading the article up on rotoscouts, he is, let's see here. He's throwing his four-seamer harder and with more spin, reaching a 94.5 mile an hour average and posting a 26.1% whiff rate, which is up from 24.9% last year. Although his 500 slugging percentage allowed on the pitch is problematic. His 429X slug is better, but not great. His 478 actual and 458X slug on the slider are also not great marks. Peralta's slider induced a 30.2% whiff rate last year, and it's way up at 45.9% this season. Both pitches were in the 300s for slugging last year. So with all that in mind, he's getting fewer whiffs on his curveball and his changeup, and more whiffs on his 2 primary pitches, but they're both getting hit harder, and he's striking out fewer overall, and he's racking up a lower swinging strike rate by a little bit, a higher swinging strike rate by a little bit, but striking out fewer, throwing fewer strikes overall. He's been really frustrating. Both his primary pitches are both being thrown better and worse at the same time. It's really annoying to evaluate. I have no idea what Freddie Peralta is going to do in this one. My model likes it. I like attacking this weak-ass Guardians lineup. They're very good at avoiding strikeouts, though. So it's such a mixed bag. 9,300 is probably the right price. 99 is okay on FanDuel. You can see he projects right in the group. There's another group of guys, 33 to 31 again today, with a couple high 20s in there. He's in the group. He'll be in my pool. I like going after this Guardians lineup. I don't know what we're going to get. I really, truly have no idea. He's given up too much premium contact this year. This is all wildly uncharacteristic. Last couple of years, he's been very good at limiting premium contact, good at limiting home runs. Something's got to give. We got to figure out one way or the other what's going on with him. It can't be both at the same time all year long. So I'm not sure what's going to happen here. Kind of throwing my hands up in the air. I'll have some Freddie Peralta, but I don't want to endorse him too strongly because there's probably some danger here. Guardians good at putting bat on ball, good at putting the ball in play, avoiding the strikeouts, but I'm not going to them very much no matter what I do with Freddie here. I just don't want to get too deep into this team. A few stacks is fine. You're looking at like the Rosario through Bell portion of the lineup. You can bolt Andres Jimenez on there. He's struggling. You can bolt Steven Kwan. He's struggling. Bottom of the lineup, Bo Naylor maybe for catcher power on DK at 2,700 is fine. Hasn't hit a home run yet in his 14 plate appearances, a .083 batting average in 14 plate appearances, but that's a really unfair sample. Miles Straw, defense and speed kind of a guy. So I don't love the bottom third. Everybody in the top half is struggling. It's not great. Not a great Guardians lineup. Jose Ramirez, obviously a star, correctly priced, 12 home runs. Josh Naylor's having a nice season. 290, 332, 457. Creating runs 12% better than average. So some interest in all four corners. Probably more interest in Bybee and the Brewers bats than in Peralta and the Guardians bats. But it would be like Bybee and the Brewers, Peralta, and then the Guardians bats like a big step down from Freddie. Freddie's close to where I would rank the Brewers and Bybee here. So kind of a weird situation in this game. I think it's a good game for tournament play though. I don't know that any of that's going to be owned like at all because it's such a weird spot. So I think it's an interesting spot for tourneys. Let's power through this one pretty quick. We're just rostering the Rays bats against Jordan Lyles here. I don't think there's any reason in the world to roster Jordan Lyles against this Rays team. I know it's been a clean innings, handful of strikeouts kind of a year. Book me a quality start kind of a year. But this is Jordan Lyles. Come on. He's not going to do it to us. 6.72 ERA on the season, 5.41 xFIP, 16.9% strikeouts, going up against the elite Rays lineup. Yandy Diaz, Wander Franco, Luke Raley, Randy Arozarena, Josh Lowe, Taylor Walls, Jose Siri, Francisco Mejia, Vidal Brujan. It's exactly the projected lineup that I was writing about today. Tons of power, tons of stolen bases, all this run creation. It's just ridiculous. 3 guys in the lineup with exactly a 162 WRC plus. So just those 3 guys are all creating runs 62% better than average each. So they're getting what, an extra 2 players out of that, basically, in the lineup. Luke Raley, probably going to be pretty popular. 4,700, 3,300 outfield and first base. One of the leading home run marks on the entire slate at 12.55. Highest mark on this team. Yandy over the magic number. Randy Arozarena over the magic number. Wander Franco, by the way, back in the lineup after serving his 2-game you're a jerk suspension. So hopefully he's learned his lesson. Crazy productive player, star in the lineup. I have no issues rostering him. I don't care if he's mean to his teammates or whatever it was. For DFS purposes, that doesn't matter at all. Jose Siri, super productive guy, 170 plate appearances, 13 homers, 7 stolen bases from a guy that was always one of those, like, he's frisky for power and speed at the bottom of the lineup. Now he's just good. 4,100, 3,300, pretty cheap still. Mejia and Brujan are kind of like the weak links in this lineup, but either one of them could do something. Mejia, once upon a time, was kind of a premium power prospect at catcher, so maybe you can get something out of him. Brujan, a decently regarded prospect, 44 plate appearances. We'll see what he turns into one day, but everything from here up is highly playable against Jordan Lyles. I don't really want to go to too much of the Royals. They did get Sal Perez in the lineup, which is good. I was worried that Sal wasn't going to play today. He took a bump last night and was marked as day-to-day, but it looks like he'll be back. So that's an upgrade for the Royals. A little bit of a ding for Yonny Chirinos. I don't think you need to go to the Chirinos play. He's getting a full start here, probably going to go around like 85 pitches, somewhere around there. 66, 63, the price is fine, but he's not a heavy strikeout guy by any means. Not a great performer in terms of preventing runs. Like, the ERA is a lot shinier than this 5.37 xFIP is. This is the more truthful number over a full start. The Royals aren't good. They strike out way too much, but they do have a couple power bats. I like a couple of the lefties. So if I was going to Royals, it would basically be from here up. Olivares and up is fine. This part of the lineup, not so much. But I don't really want that much of it. It's just a non-starter for the pitcher for me, just given the low strikeouts. But it's not really leading me into Royal stacks. Maybe a few, just on the idea of power from like a Bobby Witt, Sal Perez, MJ Melendez, Nick Prado combination. But that's like what everybody who goes to that team's going to do. So I don't know how much you distinguish yourself from anybody else that goes to Royals. They're very, very cheap. There are home runs there. There are some stolen bases there. They're a flawed team, but Prado I like, Witt I like. Perez, Melendez. Michael Garcia has been productive, multi-position eligible, 288, 345, 399 over the course of the season, 5% better in average creating runs. Nice little hard hit rate. So you can play him. Olivares, productive for counting stats in minor doses. It's not a good lineup. So Rays lineup all day. Neither one of these pitchers really. Minor smattering of Royals. 3 games to go. If you guys didn't see, it's linked in the article. If you didn't see Ellie De La Cruz going home plate to third base to leg out a triple to hit for the cycle yesterday, go watch it. I've never seen someone go from home plate to third base like that. Nobody I've ever seen in my entire life watching baseball has done it faster or more effortlessly than what he did. It was incredible. The kid hit for the cycle in his, 63rd through 67th plate appearances of his career. Just an outstanding talent. I am just overwhelmed with admiration for this kid right now. I was expecting him to become a star in pretty short order, but I mean, just what he's done in 67 plate appearances is pretty staggering already. Strikeouts are only at 28.4%. I say only because a lot of people were expecting like 35, 40% strikeouts. He's not going to be effective at the major league level, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, you're wrong. 361, 418, 656, 295 ISO, 3 homers already, 7 stolen bases already, hit for the cycle already. One of his hits yesterday was the second hardest hit ball in Reds history, asterisk, since they started the StatCast era. So in like the last 10 years or something like that, second hardest hit ball. He's very, very good and worth every penny. He's going to go through slumps. The strikeouts will be an issue at some point. He'll drop in quality for a little while at some point, but right now he's outrageous. He's well worth getting to. He's well worth all the hype. That said, this entire game I feel like is going to be owned. This game has the same total as the Coors game does later on today at 12. What's interesting, oh wow, the Russian mercenaries are turning around and not attacking Moscow now. Interesting. That's been a weird situation. We'll leave that aside for another day. It's important to remember that those are also not the good guys. I'll say that much. Anyway, good for the Ukraine, but those are not the good guys. Anyway, let's talk baseball. So it's interesting to look at the power index for today for these two teams, for all the run creation potential in this game, for all the bandbox that this game is, for the fact that 3 or 4 home runs probably will be hit in this game. It doesn't shine through in tremendous ways in the power index. Schuster, it's a little bit of a short sample, and then it's some low end guys like Nick Senzel, Kurt Casale, who don't hit a ton of home runs for the Reds. So I get it more on the Reds side. Ashcraft is limiting the Braves a little bit. In terms of, I was kind of expecting in this situation to see all these guys with all their home run upside well over the magic number, and they're more at or about the magic number here. Ashcraft, not a good pitcher overall, but has limited home runs to 3.03% this year on 88.6 miles an hour average exit velo, which is low, 6.1% barrels, which is good, 7.8 degree average launch. Last year was also good at it in 105 innings, only a 2.37% home run rate, 86.9 miles an hour average of exit velo. Some days the mouth just doesn't work. 4.8% barrel rate last year for him, 3.8 degree average launch angle. So for as not good as he probably is, as low as he is in terms of the strikeouts, Ashcraft isn't filthy for home run upside. I do expect the Braves to hit 2 home runs today. I do not want to be unclear about that. 2 of these guys are going to go deep, or one of them is going to go deep twice. It's probably going to be Matt Olson. 9.51 in the home run model for Olson from the left side, 5,900, 4,000, 23 long balls on the season. That'll probably be 24 or 25 by the day's end. 288 ISO, 130 WRC plus. Love the spot for him. Hitting cleanup, good spot in the lineup for him. Acuna, Albies, Riley, Ozuna, Darno, Rosario, Arcia, Harris. Just put them all in your lineups. Don't think about it too hard. They're going to be owned. We don't care. We'll offset it somewhere else. Play this game like it's a Coors game, but I'm kind of more enthusiastic about it than a Coors game because I'm getting all that home run upside, even though it's not shining through in the model. I believe that it's there in this spot. So I do want to attack this spot with Braves bats. I want to answer that right back with some Reds bats. I don't really want any part of Jared Schuster on the mound. 13.1% strikeouts, 12.6% walks. Does that sound like something we want in this situation? I don't think so. It starts 41 and a third innings, 4.57 ERA, a 40.3% home run hard hit rate, only 1.14% on the home runs, 5.4% on the barrels, but he's doing it at a 19.4 degree average launch angle. That might include a bunch of pop outs. I don't really know because it hasn't turned into any home runs, but 90.3 miles an hour average exit velo doesn't really suggest pop outs. Neither does a 40.3% hard hit rate. I think there's power lurking here for the Reds as well. So for the Reds side, You can take or leave Kevin Newman. He's a nice little bolt-on piece for some correlated scoring potential. If the hit tool's working today, 2,800, 2,700. You're certainly not going to skip him too many times, though, or skip Matt McLain for Kevin Newman too many times on FanDuel. You get multi-position on both guys on DK, so it's easier to put them both in the lineup. They're both cheap. McLain is just the better player. 3 home runs, 4 stolen bases for him, creating runs 23% better than average over 161 this year. A lot of value in Matt McLain. India having a nice season, 10 home runs, 12 stolen bases, 8% better than average creating runs. 5,000, 3,600 at second base. Kind of premium-ish, premium adjacent kind of a second baseman. For those prices, you can definitely go to some India. Spencer Steer, Joey Votto, dynamite righty-lefty combination late in the lineup. Joey Votto, 3 home runs and 16 plate appearances since he's come back to the lineup. Love it. Gotta love Joey Votto. 4,800, 2,800, good price for Votto too. I like that quite a bit. So the top 6, or 2 through 6 is great. Kevin Newman's a bolt-on. All 3 of these guys are bolt-ons. TJ Friedl at the bottom of the lineup. Productive guy, 127 WRC plus over 209 this year. Decent triple slash, getting on at a 380 clip. Maybe use Friedl as a sneaky little wraparound instead of Kevin Newman. You go to Friedl, McLain, India, De La Cruz, Steer, Votto. I know you can't play all those guys. Right? Yeah, that's 5. So, I think you can mix and match a lot of these parts is what I'm trying to say. Kurt Casale's super cheap at the catcher position. Not great. No home runs on this season. 84 plate appearances. Hit 5 in 176 last year. 5 the year before in 231. Part-time catcher, backup kind of a guy, dead minimum. You get weird results when bad pitchers pitch in this ballpark, though. Like righty bat, you never know. You could get that sneaky Kurt Casale home run that bends a slate. Significant interest in the Braves bats. Significant interest in the Reds bats. Play this like it's Coors Field. I don't think you need either pitcher. Red Sox. White Sox. Let's see what's going on in the chat real quick. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. That helps me quite a bit. Helps you learn when we're going live, because this show, let's face it, is completely unpredictable at what time it goes live. I'm trying to get standard on like 4 o'clock. I think has been working during the weeks, but especially on the weekends, it's all over the place, especially when I'm going to the Yankees game. 309. Got to hit the gas pedal a little bit for these last 2. Jeff, the home run picks are up on the website, rotoscouts.com. So I do a home run pick for every team individually, and then I post the overall home run pick for the day. Today's was Luis Robert from the White Sox, which we'll talk about in this game. I like the opportunity for both of these pitchers. Lance Lynn at price, I could take a few shots with. Obviously, had the monster game that I forgot to mention in the article today, but somebody was talking about it in the chat before. No real issues with the lefties. I agree with that. Not going to worry about. Look, it's Rafi Devers. Right? Rafi Devers could hit a home run against anybody, so I'm just going to take the idea that Rafi Devers is in the lineup there. I'm not super worried about Yoshida and Jarren Duran there for Lance Lynn. I'm not worried about Tristan Casas. So I think there's some strikeout upside here. You get a version of the lineup without Verdugo in it, so that takes one of their low strikeout guys away. Justin Turner's been raking. Yoshida doesn't strike out very much. Those are 2 dangerous hitters, so is Rafi Devers. But there's plenty of strikeouts in everybody else in this lineup. So there is upside for Lance Lynn at 7,800, 8,700. You could run into a wall with that play with all the Red Sox quality. Lynn is giving up a 4.75% home run rate, a 10.4% barrel rate. 6.51 ERA. That's deceptive, though. I think people will skip Lance Lynn because of that. 3.84 xFIP is very real. That's more who Lance Lynn is. He'll get back to that level over time. 13% swinging strikes. The swinging strikes are there. The CSW is fine. The strikeout rate is there. So you can go to Lance Lynn here at a good price. It's a non-safe play, but it's not a dart throw. It's not like a total risk. This is a pitcher I believe in over time, and I think he's a little cheap today. And 16 strikeout upside, right? Brian C, new channel. Yeah, newish. We've been, channel's been around for a couple of weeks as far as doing YouTube shows. The website's been around since opening day of the season. Glad you tracked us down. RC Player says there were only 9 homers in that game yesterday. Yeah, that, I think the Braves went, back to back late in the game, right? In like the 8th. I just know that I got like 4 notifications in a row across 30 leagues because I have a lot of Braves in those 30, season long leagues. So it was 3 notifications in a row, like 25 times each. It was not that great. My dog Joker doesn't like the noise that ding noise that the Yahoo notifications make, so I had to scramble and turn my phone off. Mama says if I could have gotten the SP2 right, we would have won it all yesterday. Damn. Thought we had some good ones, but it was a couple of them went sideways. That sucks. Would have been nice to have seen you get up there, bud, but we'll get them today. Right back at the grind, right? I had a decent day yesterday, but like I said this morning, it's Not about yesterday. We're right back to the grind today. Po DJ and Stoner's in the chat. Jake's in the chat saying he's going to run a 5-man Braves with a Pirates mini with both pitchers he wants. I don't dislike that. I think you got some upside there. Mamba, I do think Bryce Miller's in play today. I'm getting a very good projection on him. Pitcher I like quite a bit. I think there's upside for him. Definitely in play for me. One of my leading pitchers on the day. We'll get back to that in a sec. Let's talk Paxton. Good strikeout rate. 32.7% Ks, 3.08 xFIP, giving up a little bit of premium contact, which is what kind of leads me into some of those White Sox bats. So I think I'll hedge it off with some Jake Berger, some Eloy Jimenez, some Luis Robert, some of these Timmy Anderson, Andrew Benintendi shares up here. It's a lineup that I like. I believe in all the talent here. They've just underperformed all season outside of Louis and when he's healthy, Eloy Jimenez. Both of those power bats are intact, and Jake Berger, of course, and Andrew Vaughn's been fine too. So some of these guys haven't underperformed. Some of them have been dramatically underperforming. Tough lineup overall, but all fairly priced. Luis Robert under 49, under 5,000 on DK, 32 on FanDuel, 18 home runs on the season, 266 ISO. Not sure what they're expecting from him. His price should be higher on both sites. Jimenez is priced appropriately because he's missed so much time, but when he's in the lineup, he's a great bat to go to. Vaughn gets on base, cheap pricing, correlated scoring. So I like the upside here for the White Sox, but I think you definitely roster a good amount of Paxton. He projects right up among the slate leaders for me. 10-3, 10-1. Price is about right. He's come back just fully productive. Had one clunker start, otherwise has been really, really good for strikeouts, pitching deep into ball games. That's what I was worried about when he first came back, was like, I'll probably get like 5 innings every time from him, and they'll manage his innings. Nope. They're just firing away, letting him pitch. So I like going to Paxton here. Like grabbing some White Sox bats. It's a 4 corners game for me. I think you can roster whatever your heart's content of any one of these spots is perfectly fine. It's not one of those ones where I'd be like, yeah, if you just leave the game entirely on the table, you're not making a mistake. Because sometimes those do fall into that, where it's like, yeah, any 4 corners of this is good, or you can leave all 4 corners on the table. In this one, I feel like one of these is going to get at least fairly slate relevant. Maybe it's a casher, maybe it's not a winner, but for cashers, I think maybe it's there. I think there's upside to be a winner on in any one of these spots, so definitely going to be involved in this game. Last game on deck, this was the secondary stack that Jake was just saying he's going to use, the Pittsburgh Pirates going up against Brian Hoeing. I think that's a good spot. It's not a great lineup, but I think they're productive enough. Hopefully you're going to the right Pirates. I would be looking primarily for like these Pirates, not necessarily so much like these Pirates. But I think there's value there. McCutcheon's been struggling a little bit over the last 3-4 weeks. 9 homers, 9 stolen bases, but he's cheap. 4,600, 2,800. All that veteran know-how against a nothing pitcher. I think there's plenty of upside there. 121 WRC plus overall from McCutch. Jack Suwinski, tons and tons of power, 17.7% barrels, 47.6% hard hits. I would say that I probably wouldn't build that Pirate stack if Suwinski's not in it. So make sure Suwinski, Hayes, Marcano. All right. Suwinski, Hayes, I can get down with. Marcano, you sure you don't want Palacios off the top for a little bit more correlation with Suwinski and Hayes? Rather than going to Marcano from the bottom, same price, or 100 cheaper on DK, a little bit cheaper on FanDuel. I don't think Marcano's a mistake. He's been effective this season. 87 WRC plus is lower than you'd want. 3 home runs, 4 stolen bases, and 163. I think Marcano's fine to go to. You get a lefty against the righty here, but you also get that with Palacios. Not that Palacios is good. 1 home run, 2 stolen bases in 68 plate appearances, 94 WRC plus in the smaller sample. We can look back over time since it's become a decision point now. 49 plate appearances last year, didn't do much. 42 the year before, didn't do much. So what I'd be looking for there is certainly not any kind of history, but maybe the correlated scoring. So just to throw a monkey wrench into your plans, I guess. Hopefully it's a positional thing and you're just taking Marcano at like shortstop or whatever, and that's the only thing that fits. Thought Marcano had higher stolen base upside. Yeah, that's perfectly fine as well. 4 on the season, 163. Yeah, you're definitely not wrong. I just wanted to throw the potential correlation of Palacios getting on first base with a single and then Suwinski hitting a 2-run home run into the mix for you. But not a mistake to go Marcano in that situation. Cabrian Hayes, good player with a great little hard hit rate at 47.3% that doesn't fully translate into what he does at the plate. 5 home runs at 145 ISO, just should be a better hitter than he is, but a guy who can definitely produce in spots. And the price is always right. The ownership's always low. Henry Davis, The rookie lost his catcher eligibility on DK, which sucks. Still has it on FanDuel, 2,400 on both sites. Great start to his career with a home run and stolen base in 19 plate appearances. 20% barrels, 50% hard hits. Just sucks that he's not a catcher right now. Nick Gonzalez, Jason Delay from the bottom of the lineup. Yeah, fine, whatever. Oswaldo Beto taking the mound for the Pirates. I think you could squeeze some value out of Beto here. It is a start against the Marlins. I think people are getting excited to go to the Marlins because they've been frisky. That top end is good. I like going to the top end. I will have some Marlins here. But Beto, I don't want to totally discount. He was good in his 2 starts. 10 innings, 28.9% strikeouts, too many walks, too much premium contact in terms of the hard hits at 42.3%, but the exit velo wasn't anything to speak of. Didn't allow a home run, didn't allow a barrel. The 2 starts were both against the Cubs, I want to say. It's in the article. Yeah, both against the Cubs. First start went 4 innings, struck out 6, allowed a run on 4 hits, walked 3. Second start went 6 innings, struck out 7, walked 2, allowed 3 runs on 5 hits. At price for a DK play, for low end FanDuel play against the Marlins, you can get away with it. You can find a few strikeouts here. So it's not something I'm going to get carried away with, but maybe 5 shares or something like that in a portfolio lineups just in case. I don't mind that as a play. I definitely want to go to the top 4 hitters in the Marlins lineup, though. I love the Luis Arias, Jorge Soler pairing. I actually really even like it at price. 4,900, 3,300 is way too cheap for a guy hitting 402, creating runs 60% better than average. I don't care that he doesn't hit for home run power. Like he creates numbers in what he does with the other guys in stacks. That's what I want from Luis Arias. Jorge Soler makes up for everything that he doesn't do power-wise. He got 21 home runs on the season. They're a great little tandem. You could roster that as a 2-man on both sides if you wanted to. But I do think you get value out of Brian De La Cruz, Jesus Sanchez. Poor De La Cruz having a nice little breakout season and is immediately overshadowed by somebody with the exact same last name. But he's having a good year. 275, 324, 418, 4% better than average for run creation, 8 homers, 3 stolen bases. Jesus Sanchez not fully back after the injury, but overall 6 home runs on the season, a 123 WRC plus and 155 lefty in that lineup. Cooper, moderate pop from the right side. Yuli Gurriel, good hit tool over time. 259, 314, 385 this year. Joey Wendell, Jacob Stallings. I kind of like the idea of maybe going to Birdie as a wraparound. You grab a sneaky Birdie off the bottom of the lineup for 42 at third base or shortstop, 26 with 3 position on FanDuel. Get all his speed, a little bit of on-base skill, and then put it in front of these guys. Just use the wraparound play there. I kind of like that better than I like any of these guys. You sacrifice the plate appearance the first time through, you can get productivity out of these guys the first time through, and then he acts as a leadoff hitter the second time through, the third time through, hopefully beyond that, ahead of all the productivity of Arias. So if you've got Birdie on, Birdie singles, gets hit by a pitch, whatever, steals second base, Arias singles, Birdie scores. That's points for Arias when we're worried about how does this guy create fantasy points. Just like that. Arias is on, Soler, De La Cruz, Sanchez, they all deliver. It just kind of functions as like a nice little run creation engine there. So rather than going to any one of these guys could deliver. Cooper's got 9 home runs on the season, flawed righty hitter, but he's cheap. Julie's got his hit tool, his great eye at the plate, still strikes out only at a 12% rate. So the ball's going to be in play with Julie Gurriel. Wendell's a reasonable hitter with a little bit of speed. Stallings is a catcher, with a little bit of pop from time to time. I just like the way that part of the lineup flows if you go Birdie wraparound into those guys. So that's a little bit on construction. It's 3:20. I got to get rolling. I haven't built any lineups. I'm going to be late to this Yankees game. That's okay. What I like doing when I'm late to the game, if you don't go to Yankee Stadium regularly, I actually meant to tell Melissa this, but Melissa got her seat right behind the visitors' dugout downstairs anyway, so she didn't need the tip. But Yankee Stadium has standing room only on every level, just right behind the seats. So if you get to Yankee Stadium and you just walk in the front gate at field level and you walk up to the field, there is a bunch of, you have a great view of the field at field level as if you were sitting in, let's say there's 60 rows. It's essentially row 61. And you can stand there for the price of a seat upstairs. So I do that a lot when I get there late. There's also good food downstairs. Well, good food. Yankee Stadium, as much as the Yankees spend on everything, doesn't have the best food in the world. Like the Mets have much, much better food at their ballpark. It's weird. There's a couple spots in the stadium, and one of them's downstairs. So you hit that spot, and then you just go stand at field level. So even if I get there in the 6th inning, which I'm just ensuring by talking about this more and more, but even if I get there late, that's what I like to do is drop down to the field level and watch from there, and sometimes just don't even make it up to my seat, which is upstairs. All right, favorite pitchers today. Yep, Driven, we're talking about that right now. We always close the show with top pitchers. So you can see Bryce Miller, not only is he in play, he's my top projected pitcher. For better or worse, I like that spot. It's probably a little bit less enthusiastic about it with Cedric Mullins back in the lineup, but it didn't impact the projection that much. So I like the spot from Miller. He's getting a decent little amount of innings in my model, which is he's going to need to pitch, he's going to need to book me 6 clean innings. But I think we can get there. We just saw Gilbert put up a decent start against this team. I think there's depth there. I think there's a good starter. So I'll go to Bryce Miller. He's going to be low owned, so you don't need to get too carried away with it. Like, he projects just as well as all these other guys, and he's priced similar to all these other guys. It's not like you're getting him at a strong discount. So it's a take or leave play, or one that you can have some of and not get like crazy carried away with. And if it hits, it hits. And we don't really worry about it. But I'll have a little bit more than that. I'm a little bit more enthusiastic about it. I really like the pitcher. I like the way the fastball slider combo works. Freddie, like I said, good spot, tough to trust. Good spot against the Guardians, projecting perfectly well. Jose Barrios is going to be popular. That's probably the better of these two plays that project essentially the same. Barrios against the A's is probably better, but he's going to be a lot more popular than Freddie Peralta against a similarly bad Guardians team that just doesn't strike out as much as the A's do. So maybe a little bit of ownership play there, maybe a little bit of an angle in. Different pricing for those two plays on from site to site. So that's kind of interesting. You probably get Freddie at pretty low ownership across the board, though. Paxton I like against the White Sox for strikeout upside, but I'm going to play with some White Sox back the other way for some power upside. Merrill Kelly, I like this spot quite a bit. All these guys project basically the same. So when playing the matchups and ownership game with all these guys, when I say all, I mean from like Scherzer up, and then maybe some Lance Lynn, maybe some Severino, maybe some Beto in small doses. But everybody from here up, I want to have, like, this is going to be my primary pool. Miller, Peralta, Barrios, Paxton, Kelly, Bybee, Gray, and Scherzer. And then a couple shots of Sevy, a couple shots of Lynn, a couple shots of Beto. Probably out of that group, most enthusiastic about Lynn going up against the Red Sox at price. I just like that pitcher. I've succeeded with him in the past, and I believe. So I think we've got, Mamba says get there before Garcia hits first of 2 home runs. Yeah. It's going to happen. That's it. Hopefully I miss the homers. I get there. Sevy's out of the ball game. Yanks have scored, so it's like a 7-6 Yankees lead in like the 3rd inning, 4th inning. Hopefully that doesn't happen. Hopefully the Yanks are up like 10-zip. Sevy's cruising. Has 10 strikeouts in the books. That would be fun. So let's see at the bottom of the list here. I don't really like the spot for Chirinos just on the idea of a lack of strikeouts. Even though there are strikeouts in that Royals lineup, he's not one to really go find them. Lyles, don't think you need to play against Tampa Bay. You maybe get something out of Dean Kramer, but he's not priced correctly to be that value play. He should be in one of these green price levels, not 83, 87 against Seattle. There's plenty of strikeouts there. He's not a premium strikeout guy. He's capable, but not premium. I wouldn't be shocked to see Kramer deliver an okay start here. I just don't know that it works at the DK price, FanDuel price. I don't love that spot. Brian Hoeing against the Pirates, I don't think so. 57-69, don't really think so. Hogan Harris, no. Sanchez, no. Keaton Wynn in that weird bulk reliever, hope you get him role. For 4,000 on DK, if you're inclined to play that, is a capable enough guy maybe. But going up against the low strikeout, good hitting Arizona team when we don't necessarily know that we're going to get him, I don't love that. Definitely don't want either pitcher in that Reds and Braves game. You can see they're bottom of the board here. I think that's it, gang. So really, like I said, this is my pool of pitchers, and I'll get to a good mixed bag. I want to see what ownership looks like in the next 40 minutes or whatever I have to build lineups. At this point, I'm going to end up building lineups till 4 o'clock and just watching the damn game on TV, or just leaving and getting there in like the 7th or 8th inning. That's what kills me with this pace of play shit. I used to be able to leave at like this time or like a little closer to the ball game and still get there in like the 3rd, 4th inning. Now it's like the 6th, 7th inning. Anyway, I'm going to punch out, gang. Good luck out there today. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. We'll be back for tomorrow's slate. I'm planning on doing a show unless it falls weird like time-wise. We'll see what happens with the timing, but I expect to do a show probably around the normal time. Bo DJ, that's the plan, buddy. Appreciate it. Appreciate all you guys. It's been fun. Always a blast. Somebody go win something today. I don't care if the logo's on it or not. I just want one of you guys to book a win today. Go win something. I'll see you. Good luck.